As we talked about in the last video, we know that there's a lot of quizzes and exams that happen during our semester. And because it's a summer format, we know that these are going to be coming really quickly. There's a lot to do. Notice our first week, we have 3 quizzes due. And our first exam is only 2 weeks away from the start date. So things move really, really fast in our class. So how do I prepare well for quizzes and for exams? Well, the first thing is something that we've mentioned numerous times. You have to stay on pace. If you fall behind in the class, you won't be able to do well. Try to make sure that you are staying precisely on top of things, watching the videos on the day that they're suggested in the in the calendar, and also going through and practicing concepts using those worksheets. If you don't do that, it's going to be hard to do well on quizzes. And if you don't do well on quizzes, it's hard to do well on the exam. So the best way to prepare for exams, do well on the quizzes. Make sure that you've understood that content. Now, if we go underneath the Unit 1 materials folder here, you can see that there are some other materials that are available for you for exams. And I'll go through each one of them. First off, when it comes to exams, sometimes you will have already done all the things that you were supposed to do. You've watched all the videos, you've practiced with all the worksheets, and you might be thinking, is there anything else I can do to prepare? Yeah, I have some Exam 1 review problems. This is essentially just another worksheet. It is not a copy of the exam. Not every question on the exam is located on this particular set of problems, but it's just a whole bunch of extra problems that you can use to try to review with. So please be careful. Sometimes students assume that, oh, well, if I just know how to do this, then I know how to do everything that's going to be on the exam. And that's not necessarily the case. It's just some extra problems to do some extra practice. If you want to know exactly what can be covered on the exam, this is what the study guide is for. The study guide for each exam is going to tell you a little bit about when the exams are, how the format of the exam works. It's even going to tell you here a little bit about what the exam is going to look like. Like our first exam, you already know right now, is going to have 32 questions that you have to provide answers for. You will not have to provide 35 answers on the exam. It's exactly 32. 32 answers and you're done. Okay. Now, what those questions might be about are kind of laid out here in the list of topics. I go through each section and I make a giant checklist for you of all the things that you should know how to do. So for example, in section 1.1, I need to make sure that I understand and am able to apply the definitions of a population, individual, sample, statistic, and parameter. I got to make sure I can do that. And so then it's going to be up to me to go back and look through the quizzes and the lecture notes and the worksheets and the exam review to actually see where are examples of questions like that and can I do those questions. The most important thing when practicing for any math test is to make sure that you are actually able to complete specific problems without any assistance. Can you do a particular problem without having to look at the solutions? And can you do it perfectly? If you can, then when a similar question shows up on an exam, you're ready to go. And if you do this and practice this way for all of the different kind of items on this checklist, there should be absolutely nothing then that could ever come up on an exam that you should draw a total blank on. Maybe you'll make small mistakes here or there, but it shouldn't be anything that's just a large gaping hole in your knowledge. And that's the best way to prepare for exams in our class. Now, what we also have is that for each one of our exams in this class, we get a formula sheet. So this is a sheet of information and rules that you are allowed to take with you to the exam. Now this is very helpful because this means this is all stuff that you don't have to memorize. So when you're studying, it's important to study with this tool so that way you actually understand how you can quickly use this tool to help you during an exam. So like in our first unit, we're going to talk a lot about probability, and it'll be important that I understand these probability rules and how they work and which ones I want to use. So when I'm practicing probability, I want to have this out and learn how I can use this to actually assist me, as well as using it with a lot of these other sorts of questions as well. So the ultimate keys to practicing for the exams: stay on pace, don't fall behind, practice, 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 and go through that study guide. Use the checklist that's there to make sure that you actually know how to do everything that could possibly be asked of you.